the town of Redstone, baked under a sun so fierce it could have melted. Iron, wagons creaked, dust swirled, and even the tumbleweeds seemed tired. Then came a rider, tall, broad-shouldered and silent as judgment itself. Folks paused mid-step, watching him pass. His name was Colt Harlow, a cowboy known across the frontier as the man who never lost a fight. Not in a saloon, not in the saddle, not in the courts of men. He wasn't the type to smile or beg. He came to Redstone with one purpose: to face the man who'd robbed half the town with a fountain pen instead of a gun. Banker Silas Wainwright, inside the town's only bank. Silas's daughter Evelyn stood behind the counter, a girl of grace and pride, untouched by the dirt and hardship outside her father's glass doors. She had her father's cold eyes and his sharp tongue, but none of his sins, or so she believed. When Colt walked in, his boots thudding on polished wood, every whisper in the bank died. Colt laid a worn piece of paper on the counter, a land deed, smudged with dust and grief. "Your father took my ranch," he said evenly. "He said the papers were late. They weren't. He forged my name." Evelyn blinked, startled by his voice, rough as gravel but steady as stone. She wanted to deny it, to defend her father's honor. But something in Colt's eyes made her pause. They weren't the eyes of a liar. They were the eyes of a man wronged and burned clean by it. "You'll get your land back," she said quietly, forcing confidence she didn't feel. "If what you say is true." Colt gave a slow nod. "Truth don't need your permission, miss." Then he turned, heading for the door. Evelyn watched him go, anger and curiosity mixing in her chest like a storm. She'd never seen a man like him, one who didn't bow or flatter, one who looked at her as if her fine dress meant nothing at all. That night, Redstone whispered, some said the giant cowboy was camping out near the dry creek, waiting for sunrise to confront the banker himself. Others said Silas was hiring gunmen to drive him out before the law could intervene. Evelyn sat awake in her room. The paper Colt had left burned in her mind, the edges torn, the ink faded but true. When she'd dared to compare it with her father's files, she'd found something she wasn't supposed to. 2 identical signatures, one hers, one forged. Her father had lied. The empire she thought he built on honor was nothing but sand and deceit. For the first time, her chest ached with shame. By dawn, the air was heavy with storm. Evelyn rode out against her father's orders toward the old Hayes ranch. Colt stood by a campfire, hat low, gun belt loose but ready. When he saw her approach, his expression didn't change, just the faintest flicker of surprise. "You shouldn't be here," he said. "Your father's men will come soon." She dismounted, clutching the deed. "You were right," she whispered. "He stole it, all of it." Colt looked at her for a long moment. "Then you know what kind of man he is." Her voice trembled. "He's still my father." Colt's tone was soft, but sharp enough to cut through her guilt. "Then maybe it's time you decide what kind of woman you are." The storm broke overhead, thunder rolling across the plains like cannon fire. Evelyn turned away so he wouldn't see the tears burning her eyes. "If you go after him, he'll have you shot before you reach the steps." Colt's voice rumbled low. "I've been shot before." He pulled his coat tighter, mounted his horse and looked down at her. "I don't aim to die today, but if I do, I'll die standing." As he rode away, lightning lit the hills behind him, and Evelyn realized she was no longer afraid of the truth. She was afraid of what it would demand of her. The morning came blood-red over. Redstone, clouds like smoke rolling over the plains. Colt Harlow rode into town slow, steady, unshaken, the kind of calm that made men nervous. Outside the bank stood Silas Wainwright, flanked by 3 hired gunmen with polished rifles and dirty souls. Townsfolk lined the porches, whispering prayers they hadn't spoken in years. Colt stopped 10 paces away, his voice carrying across the street like thunder before a storm. "You stole my land, Silas," he said, "and you'll answer for it today." The banker smirked, clutching his gold watch. "You think this town believes an outlaw over me?" But before Colt could answer, a voice broke through the crowd, clear, trembling, but strong. They'll believe me. Evelyn stepped forward, holding the deed in her hands, the wind snapping her shawl like a banner of defiance. You forged his name, father. I saw the proof. Gasps rippled through the street. Silas's face went pale. You don't know what you're saying, girl, he hissed. But Evelyn stood tall, her eyes wet but fierce. I know exactly what I'm saying. You built your fortune on lies, and I won't carry your name if it means carrying your shame. The silence that followed was broken by the cocking of guns. Silas barked, "Shoot him!" But his men hesitated, because Colt was already moving. 2 shots cracked like lightning, echoing off the wooden fronts. When the smoke cleared, 1 gunman was down, another fled, and the 3rd dropped his weapon. Colt walked straight toward the banker, his boots echoing like judgment itself. You could have ended this with an apology, he said quietly. But men like you never learn till the dust settles. Silas raised his pistol, desperation trembling in his hand. But Evelyn stepped between them. Enough, she cried. I've lost my father already. Don't make me lose my soul too. Her voice broke through the tension like sunlight through storm clouds. Colt stopped, his jaw hard, then slowly lowered his revolver. He'll face the law, he said. Not me. As the sheriff came forward to arrest Silas Wainwright, the crowd's silence turned to murmurs, some in pity, most in relief. Evelyn watched as her father was led away, her heart heavy but free for the first time. She turned to Colt, tears mixing with dust. You've got your land back, she whispered. Colt nodded. Land don't mean much, but truth, that's worth the fight. He mounted his horse, the rising sun painting his shadow long behind him. You ever find yourself on the right side of wrong? Miss Wainwright, he said softly, tipping his hat, ride proud. And with that, he rode off into the horizon, a solitary figure swallowed by gold and silence, the kind of man legends are made of. Evelyn watched him vanish, the sound of his horse fading into the wind, and she smiled through the ache in her chest. In a world full of thieves and liars, one honest man had changed everything, not with bullets, but with honor.